Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, there is so much to talk about. I don't know if this is going to be one video or two videos, but there's a lot to talk about today. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate all of it. And delighted to be here again with you. There is just so much to talk about that is kind of all over the place. And so I'm just gonna, let's see, what do I want to start with? It's so much. Okay. I guess the first thing I'll start with is something that a viewer actually asked me, and I kind of answered in a sort of a throwaway way, in a written response. But and now that events have started to unfold, I'm going to look at it with the cards. And the question that they asked was, would there be, well, the way they put it was, will Harry and Meghan be welcomed back into the royal family? Now, that's quite the big question, right? Because um, the royal family is comprised, yes, of course, of Charles and Camilla, but we don't care about her. Charles, but there's also the king in waiting, right? There's William and Kate. And so it's a big question. I mean, will Harry be welcomed back? Will Harry and Meghan be welcomed back? I don't know, but here's what we do know. We do know that Harry met his father. He's in London for 4 days for a bunch of events. And he met with his father for like an hour over tea, as they do. And I think that's pretty interesting. So I guess I want to look at Harry and with an eye towards how will he be perceived, received by the royal family moving forward. We know that Charles is ill. Um, I heard, and I don't know if this part's true, but you know how they make plans for royal funerals years in advance of the royal funeral ever happening, and that I heard that part of the plan was to have Harry and Meghan and their children, I'm assuming, in the front row of Charles's funeral. That would be quite a statement to make. I mean, it is his son, of course. So on the one hand, it's natural and normal that he would be in the front pew. On the other hand, he's left the family and been exiled also, so to speak. So the fact that the plan is to still have him be in the front row is, I think, interesting and a message of some kind. So will there be a reconciliation, let's just say, between Harry and Meghan on the one side and the rest of the royal family? And I'm going to use Harry, I think, as our significator. We'll use the young man. He's in his 40s, but still, we'll use the young man for him. Okay. So this is the kind of gossipy portion of the program, which I don't normally engage in, but um, you know, inquiring minds want to know. So we're looking for the young man, and that will stand for Harry. Okay, so this is Harry. Okay. So the line of five is the cross, the fox. Here's Harry. Here's the ship. And here is the crossroads. Now, the first two cards are kind of obvious, right? He left the family. He wrote that book, which, if you haven't read it, you really should read it. It's called Spare. And it is a harrowing account, I think, of being the spare in the royal family. Really, really riveting, interesting account. But as you can imagine, it caused the royal family no end of difficulty. He spilled a lot of secrets, and it was seen as a betrayal. And so the ultimate issue is that the family, as a whole, has felt that they couldn't trust him. So once again, the Fox card pops up in the form of, um, being somebody that you can't trust. And we know that William does not trust Harry. Uh, we know that there are members of the firm, meaning the men in black suits, as Harry would have called them, who don't trust Harry. Okay, Harry's in the center, and then we have the ship and the crossroads. So this, I think, is interesting. I think uh, moving forward, I don't think Harry will, or the family, his little family, Meghan and the children, and he will return to um, England full time on it. There's just no way that's going to happen. I don't think anybody wants that. But this could speak to some sort of part-time situation. What they had proposed initially, Meghan and Harry had proposed initially, which is that they live in Canada, right? Or they live in uh, Africa, or they live in one of the one of the islands that, Barbados or somewhere, uh, and sort of act as ambassadors. So there could be something like that. But the thing is, I can mirror this crossroads card with the cross. I don't think they will ever be fully welcomed back. And I don't think that they would want to full time be living there. Uh, I pulled cards, clarifiers for this card, and this is standing for Harry. And we have scales, we have the sun, and we have the bouquet. Of course, Harry would like it both ways. He has to juggle everyone. Meghan, is not English and is not to the manner born, and is very American in her sensibilities. And I don't think royal life suited her at all. I think she likes her California life, and he knows that, but he also misses his family very much. So he is really having to weigh, how does he balance what his family wants, his nuclear family, and then his family of origin. How does he balance that? Um, I think that he thinks that there could be a solution, and it would have to do with that crossroads card, that he would become what you would call a part-time royal, called upon when needed, but living his life, his California life, otherwise. That seems like what he would think would be the best of all possible worlds. This looks very sunny, like very sunny. Um, Not sure whether the royal family would go for that or the firm would go for that. Now, here we have the ship, and this is moving forward, and we have the snake, the garden, and the book. So With the book ending the line, it looks like the verdict is still out. Listen, all they did was have tea. They didn't come to any kind of conclusion at this tea between just Charles and just Harry. Other people would have to be involved for any kind of decision to be made. So things are still up in the air. You know, the public, a lot of the British public feel a certain kind of way towards Harry and Meghan, and that way is not particularly friendly. How do I know? Because I see the snake. So could they come up with some sort of solution that the public would be open to? Well, that remains to be seen. The crossroads card is clarified by the ring. This is Charles, and this is the tower. Tower here is um, the firm. You know, the royal family is a family, of course, right? But it's a business also. And the men in black suits have a say, even though Charles is king. And William will have a say. And there's no love lost, as I said, between William and Harry. Um, so I think that this circle, you know, this is Harry saying, well, can I be a part-time royal? You know, can I do my charity work? Can I represent the crown where you need the crown represented? Um, and I think they go round and round and round. He and Charles will go round and round and round on this and how the best way might be to do this. But bottom line, this is the firm. And the firm is nothing if not uh, interested in their continued existence. This is existential for them. The theory is that, you know, Harry dealt them what was potentially an existential blow that could have killed the monarchy. That's how deep the blow was. So there will be resistance on the part of the firm to Harry entering back into the royal family, the work of the firm in any kind of capacity. Of course, Charles would love it. Charles would love it. It's his son. He loves his son, and his son loves him. But the firm is bigger than the man. The firm is bigger than the father and son bond. So I'm going to say that I don't know that this will have a happy ending, not with these two cards here. But again, all it was just tea, and we will keep our finger on the pulse of this situation. I mean, it's a hopeful sign that they had tea. I think it's great, but there are there are many other um, fingers in this pie than just Charles and Harry. Uh, and Charles and Harry may not end up being the deciders of where this goes. So it's up in the air, looking pessimistic, I will say. But we will hope for reconciliation because family is family, right? Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to look at. Another thing I wanted to look at is the fact that the FBI is being, well, no, not the FBI. Cash Patel, head of the FBI, is being sued by a group of uh, former FBI people who were fired. Now, why were they fired? They were fired because they worked on the January 6th prosecutions. And 47, vindictive um, person that he is, uh, sent down the rule that the FBI had to fire people who were against him. And if you prosecuted the January 6th insurrectionists, that constitutes action against 47. Interesting, right? So this group of FBI agents has sued. Now, Kash Patel, when he gave the order to fire these all these FBI agents, knew full well that he would be sued. He knew that really what was happening, what he was asked to do, ultimately was illegal. And a lot of the basis of this lawsuit um, hinges on actual conversations, that included people like Patel and others. So I guess I want to know, how will Patel fare? I mean, I would assume that Patel not only knew he was going to be sued, but would expect to be on the losing end of the suits. But, even though the lower courts are doing their due diligence and really trying hard to keep us from the abyss, we have SCOTUS, and they are all in for Trump on the conservative side, which is the majority. So let's use that young man card again. This time it stands for Cash Patel. And what we're looking at is how will he fare in the lawsuit that has been brought against him for, illegally firing FBI agents because that's what 47 wanted him to do. Okay. Remember, we're looking for the young man, and that stands for Cash Patel. Okay, here's Cash Patel. Okay, so we have the bouquet, we have the scale, we have Patel, we have the heart, and we have the mountain. Now, we have not heard much from Cash Patel of late, who was, of course, rewarded with this FBI job because he was all in for Trump. Um, but this is interesting because this bouquet can be mirrored with this mountain, which makes me think that he could be on the losing end. As so many uh, of the lawsuits that Trump brings, um, Trump's been on the losing end. I think Patel will also be on the losing end here. Look at him. This is him blocked. Um, Scales is about justice, and it's mirrored by the heart. We like to think that justice rules. The FBI is a storied institution, and a lot of people really feel like what's been done to the FBI is has been a grossly unfair partisan dismantling of the FBI. And so I think that Patel could find himself in a sling, if you know what I mean. But let me pull on him. Yeah. So, you know, here's Patel. Here's the White House. Here's the narcissistic, revenge-fueled 47, yelling at Patel, fire somebody, fire a whole bunch of somebodies. Anybody who's not all in for me does not need to work at the FBI. So he got badgered and bullied into getting rid of people. Uh, I want to look at this mountain as well. Hmm. So I looked at the heart first. This is our love of justice, supposedly purported, right? Love of justice. Clarifiers are Clover, Ryder, and here's 47. Uh, I think this will be quickly responded to, this lawsuit, and by Patel. and then quickly adjudicated just because Clover is there. Now, remember the Supreme Court says he can do whatever he wants. So here's this mountain, and then we have the sun, the ship, and the tower. Now, the tower stands for government. It can also stand for the court system, including the Supreme Court. Although I tend to use birds for the Supreme Court because they have to do a lot of conversation, discussing, etc. And that's what the birds card is about. Uh, so I think that there will be, okay, I think that the suit will be quickly responded to. That's the previous line, but then it gets stalled because that's what 47 does. He stalls. He'll try to stay a decision or ask for a continuance or whatever. Um, but this will hit the Supreme Court eventually. Now, I can mirror this card, the tower, with the bouquet, and what I don't know is who gets to be the winner. I can't tell. Um, I think what I might do is use the bouquet as a significator and say, and ask the question, who's going to win? Who's going to win this suit? The FBI agents who are bringing the suit against Patel, or will Patel, aka the administration? Um, all right, so let's look for the bouquet. Who wins this suit? Or who loses the suit? Let's just see what the cards tell me. Okay. Come on, bouquet. Okay. This is the suit. The whoever wins this prize wins the suit. Mm. So we have the heart, the fox. This is the whoever wins the suit. We have the dog, and we have the scythe. So, I never love it when I see the fox mirroring the dog. And I've explained a million times why this is. I think there's going to be a lot of sleight of hand, a lot of, you know, tricky maneuvers on the part of lawyers, tricky maneuvers on the part of lawyers. But I'd rather see it like this than the other way around. Because like this, it starts out like this, but ends like this. So, starts out tricky and sneaky and not good, but ends up like this. So I'd rather have this order. Um, well, you know what? I should pull cards on that bouquet, right? Right, let's do that. Okay. So I pull cards on the bouquet. We get the ship, the scales, and the whip. So who wins? I think it's going to be the FBI agents. That's what I think. They were unlawfully, unfairly, um, in a partisan way fired. So this is moving forward. This is justice. But again, of course, you know what's going to happen. The administration will appeal. Um, they will appeal the decision because this is arguing back and forth, and that's what 47 always does. Here are the lawyers for the White House, and in their appeal, as they move forward, they will get blocked. I think the FBI agents are going to win this suit against Patel. We have the scythe clarified by clouds, young man, and clover. Uh, I can, again, there will be a lot of uh, double talk, fast talk about what Patel really did do and why he did it. And, they will try to act like, no, no, this wasn't about revenge. Well, of course it was about revenge. And I think that what I can do in terms of mirroring is I can, let's see, I forgot what these, how would it go? It was like this. Okay. So the scythe cuts through all of the nonsense, all of the tricky business, all of the lying and stuff that the administration side will do. It cuts right through that. Not only does it cut right through that, these are the lawyers, I feel like, this time. These are the FBI agents. It cuts through the luck of Patel. That's what I think we will see. I think that I'm gonna say, and this is way down the road. The lawsuit was only just brought. I think the agents are gonna win because there was no just cause for them to be fired, just summarily fired. And they were fired because of cases that they worked on. And by the way, FBI agents don't get to like bid on which cases they want to work on. They're assigned cases, and then they have to work those cases. So you're going to fire somebody because they worked their hardest on cases that they were assigned to work? No, I think that the FBI agents will win their suit against Kash Patel. Okay. The next thing, Chuck Schumer made a power move this morning. I mean, for once. And you know how there's that House resolution which is signed only by, by Democrats and then by the four Republicans, Boebert, Mace, um, Green, and Massey, to release all of the information, the Epstein information. That's a House measure. And the theory was that, or the thinking was that the measure would end up dying by the time it got to the Senate. Well, instead of waiting for that measure to work its way through the system, Chuck Schumer has announced his own um, resolution. This is a Senate resolution because he's a senator, asking essentially for the same thing. So, that could help. Another issue just came up on my phone that I'll probably want to talk about later on today. But anyway, I would like to know whether Chuck Schumer's motion to have a Senate resolution that sort of is the same thing as the House resolution to show these files, whether that moves the needle forward at all. So, because it's a resolution, it's a piece of paper. So, we're going to use the letter, and that will stand for Chuck Schumer's Power Move Resolution in the Senate asking that the Epstein files be released. How will that go? Will that move things any farther? I mean, this is coming inexorably towards 47, no matter what he says. You know, he says it's a dead issue. It is definitely, it's an undead issue, is what it is. That thing's gonna haunt him until he's in the grave and beyond, I suspect. But anyway, we want to look and see how Chuck Schumer's resolution will fare in the Senate and whether or not this will move the needle forward in this Epstein situation. Okay, so we're looking for the letter, and that will stand for Chuck Schumer's resolution in the Senate. Okay, that's Chuck Schumer's resolution. Okay, so we have the key, we have the mountain, we have the resolution by Chuck Schumer, we have the crossroads, and we have the woman. So, this has been so slow. And so, Schumer is trying to come up with a way to move things forward. What is the way, the key to move things forward? I would I'd have preferred seeing these the other way around, but that's okay. Because I can mirror this key with the card for the women. I mean, this is all women everywhere who are saying, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. But particularly these victims. What can we do to help these victims see justice? Uh, so here we go. In response to, I like where this mountain is now. In response to the delay, they keep saying, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and they're sort of rationing out information in dribs and drabs. Um, Chuck Schumer found an alternate route, a way around the mountain, which is to sort of double team the administration by having it come from both from the House and from the Senate. So there's no waiting around for the House to get their thing into the Senate. It's like a double teaming it with the goal to blow up this mountain so that, again, these women can get answers. Okay. So I pulled clarifiers for the resolution, Schumer's resolution. I've got clover, bouquet, and garden. It will, in fact, hasten the release of everything because that's what clover does. It's speedy, it's fast. And this is a gift to the public because the public have the right to know who that guy is up there at, in Pennsylvania Avenue. Uh, so by double teaming him, with, coming both from the House and now from the Senate, this will cause 47 more pain. Instead of it being a dead issue, oh no, no, it lives. It's not going anywhere. The circle has no end. And this is a problem for 47. Love it. Love that for him, as they say. Here are all women, but most particularly the victims, some of whom don't even know the full story of how they were trafficked. Um, this is about the fact that this is an emotional issue for all women, and this is justice, and this is a politician, and I'm no Schumer fan, gotta say, but this is a politician really for once helping his constituents in a terrific way. The key is as good as the sun. So I think yes, absolutely, this was an absolute boss move to come at 47 from that angle as well, from the Senate angle, in addition to the House angle. I think this will encourage more lawmakers to sign on to the resolution from the Senate side. And I think it's like a squeeze play. 47 is being squeezed. Um, and that's great. Justice Department is being squeezed. So good for Schumer. I'm very happy about that. Okay, staying with politics for a second. Um, so apparently excerpts from Kamala Harris's new book have hit the wherever they've hit. And the book is getting praised. This is just excerpts, praised for its frankness, its forthrightness um, in the telling of Harris's story. And what we do know is that Harris in the book is very, very critical of the Biden team for letting him run again, for essentially hamstringing her. And, if you recall, she went on Colbert and she said, all my life, I have always worked within the system. I had to justify that to my own family when they said, when they had, you know, when they had questions as to whether working within the system is the best way to affect change. And I always told them, yes, 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 it is. She said, but now I see that the system, the political system that we have is broken. That's what she said. It's broken. And I cannot work within it anymore. So I'm going to work from outside it. So all of those people who keep saying she's going to be the president, she's not going to be the president. She has said, I am working from outside. This book is very critical of the Democratic Party. We only have seen excerpts or heard about excerpts. So, you know, who knows what else it's critical of, but it's definitely critical of the party. I just want to know, well, I don't need to read on how, for example, the Biden team will take this. They will not take it well. I don't need to read on how Pelosi will take it. Pelosi will not take it well because Pelosi, she wanted a convention at that late date, July. Come on. She wanted a convention. She was not for Harris. So there will be, um, you know, old school Democrats who try to come for Harris. I would like to know about Harris herself and what the revelations that she will have uncovered will do for her in her and her future. I just want to look at her political future. We already know how the Democrats are going to respond to her critiques. They're not going to like it. Um, but so far, critics who have read the excerpt have been very impressed with the forthrightness of Harris's book. So let's look at Harris and just see what's around her. Will this do her in, or will this be the making of her um, in some way? Okay, so I'm looking for the older woman. Okay, that's Harris. Okay, so we have the lily, we have the scales, we have Harris in the middle, we have the whip, and we have the bear. Okay. I think that Harris feels great peace of mind in the stance that she's taking. Um, and I think she has set the record straight. She has tried to paint a fair picture of her understanding of how the process went and how she was treated. So she is at peace. She's in the center, and then we have the whip and the bear. They will come for her. There will be all kinds of defensive arguments made on the part of the Democrats as to why she's reading things wrong and what was wrong with her campaign. They will try to bully her. Um, there will be lots of arguments about what is and isn't fair. But when I look at these two cards together, here's what I think. She is at peace, and in the end, she comes out on top. This morphs to become her. She's a boss. She spoke truth to power, which is what Black women do, which is why everybody should have listened to the 94%. But anyway, it's another story. Okay, so I pull cards on Harris. We have the child, we have the cross, and we have the book. So people will try to cut her down to size. They will try to cause her pain. But, you know, the book is about the fact that really they don't know what to do with her. Just like so often, um, corporations and boards and committees and things don't know what to do with a strong Black woman because uh, you don't know what to do with us. So they will try to cut her down to size. It won't work, and they're going to be flummoxed. We have this whip, and the clarifiers are the young man, the birds, and the bouquet. And here's what I think. Out of all of this controversy, young voters, young politicians, the new guard, will be talking about the fact that we need new blood. I think that they will give Harris her flowers, just like I think Mamdani's going to get his flowers. I think that her forthrightness will be received by um, the grassroots Democrats very positively. There will be a lot of buzz about this. And people are going to be watching the old guard come for her and try to cut her down. And they're going to say, that's interesting. In the same way we see them come for Mamdani, and we're saying, interesting. Because in the end, is the old guard Republican Democratic Party that much different from the Republicans? I mean, who are they really for? I think there's going to be a real uh, soul searching on the part of independents and Democrats as to, who do we really want to be? Do we like this old guard mean girl, mean boy attack on Harris? Or are we going to say, let's sweep those people out? It's time for something new because this is just not working. Uh, this is Harris, and we have the star, the letter, and Clover. And in the end, I think, she says she's going to work from outside the system. What does that mean? I don't know. Third party run? Could be, because this is the future. This can easily be votes. And I love Clover here because Clover is lucky. And I particularly love Clover because I can mirror it with Lily, which is the card for peace and ease and maturity. One of the things that she argues in her book was that she didn't feel like she could be herself, that she had been boxed in, and so she couldn't say certain things. For example, if you are a vice president, the vice president's job is, by hook or by crook, to support the president. That's their job. And so there's certain things that she couldn't say, like, I think Biden is too old and infirm. She couldn't say that. Now she feels free. So I would not count her out in the future. I think she's more likely to sit on the Supreme Court than she is to be the president. But I think in the short run, she will have to endure the slings and arrows of the Democratic Party, who's going to want to put her down at every opportunity they can. But that's not going to work, and they're going to say, we know about Teflon Don, but we didn't know about Teflon Kamala, because I think the grassroots are going to appreciate what she has to say. And I think she has a great future moving forward. And it might be in some kind of political format that has yet to be determined. Again, could be a third party run, or it could be on the court once we have a Democrat back in the White House. So, if you have not pre-ordered the book, I mean, I don't get a cut of it, but I'm suggesting that you might want to. If you're a viewer of mine, I would think you'd want to read that book, uh, which comes out later this month, I think toward the end of this month. So that's interesting. Okay. Um, one more thing I think I'll look at, and let's see what the time is. Yeah, I think I have time. So we know that Russia has been up to its, usual, and is still, trying to take over Ukraine. But it seems that they have widened their net, and they now have flown drones over Poland. Poland has responded, and so now Article 4 has been of the NATO Article 4 has been implemented. Now, article by Poland, at Poland's request. Article 4 just says, um, it's a declaration saying, there's been a hostile act, and we need to have conversations in order to prevent something catastrophic from happening. That's Article 4. Let's talk, Russia, because what are you doing? Article 5 is what follows Article 4. And Article 5 comes from the NATO alliance, and it determines, once it's declared, it's a determination that an armed attack has occurred and requires a collective response. Meaning, Article 5, if it were initiated, would say, okay, Russia attacked Poland, and because we're all in NATO, talking to you, 47, because we're all in NATO, we all are treaty bound to respond. and this would mean war. Now, 47's made all kind of noises about NATO and how he doesn't think whatever. Um, but we're in NATO. Europe is in NATO. Canada is in NATO. Um, so will Article will Article will Article 5 be declared? Will this escalate to a world war? Um, I think I'm going to let Spirit pull all the cards. Okay. Will Russia's action cause NATO to issue Article 5, which essentially is a declaration of war by NATO on Russia, because Russia will have declared war on Poland. Now, I mean, that is its own question. The other question is, well, what does that mean for Ukraine? Because one of the dangers is if they implement Article 5, well, now all of the attention goes to Russia and Poland. Meanwhile, Russia is free to continue its incursion into Ukraine, which, by the way, to date is not yet in NATO. But anyway, first of all, let's just look at and see um, whether Article 5 will be declared. And I could use the letter for Article 5, but I'm going to let Spirit pick all the cards. And this will be my last one before I shut this down. Okay, for today. But I think I might be back tomorrow because, boy, the news is volatile. And, we all told you, all of us readers said that September was going to be an intense month. We'll look at 47's health maybe tomorrow, or we'll see. We'll see. Okay, hold on. So, Spirit's picking all the cards. I'm asking about whether Article 5 will be declared by NATO, which would say that Russia has committed an act of war against Poland and that there needs to be a NATO collective response. Okay, so we have the young man, we have the tree, we have the whip, the snake, and the fox. Four out of these five cards are what I would call bellicose cards, meaning war vibing cards. This one is very aggressive. I think this feels very like Russia to me, and I can mirror it with the last card, which is the fox, because of course, what Russia's going to say is, "What do you mean? We didn't fly drones over there." Oh, no, you're mistaken. That's not what happened. They will try to, um, you know, obfuscate and avoid. Um, they won't come out and say, "Yeah, we did it," and you and what army's going to stop us. They won't do that. Um, so this may take a while, but these two are quite bellicose. So here we have verbal arguments. This is just verbal. This is what Article 4, which has already been called into play, is going to do. There will be conversations on both sides. NATO members versus Russia. Like, what are you doing? What was that? Do you want to have a war do you want to call a world war? These will be arguments. But look, the following card is not good. So I don't think it's around the corner because this is a slow card, but hmm, we're not heading in a good direction. So I'm just going to leave that there because this has gotten long enough. I certainly will be looking at this in way more depth, either tomorrow or Wednesday. Um, and there are lots of issues to look at. So thank you for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment. I read all the comments. And I know there were a couple of viewer questions that I meant to look at today. I only got to that one, but maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll do some viewer questions tomorrow. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you really soon. Take care.